Hey, what's up? I'm Norris and welcome back to another sew along. Now today we'll be working on my latest Know Me pattern design, which is ME2105. And today we'll be working on view B, which is the cardigan. Now if you're new to sewing or just want to brush up on your skills a little bit, you can visit our online sewing and design school, which is sewacademy.com. Go there, take advantage of our free trial, come back and then sew along with me. All right, let's get started. Okay, once again, like I said, we'll be working on my latest Know Me pattern, which is ME2105. And today we'll be working on view B, which is the cardigan. Now, if you turn and look to the back, you'll see all the fabric recommendations across the top. You'll see the sizes. You can measure and then see what size is better for you. But also remember, you can go down to finished garment measurements, and that'll let you know exactly what that measurement will be if you sewed it up in this particular size, to let you know how much room you will have at the end. Okay, so let's go through all the pattern pieces for this particular project. Okay, this first one is pattern piece number 7. This is the back, and you want to cut one on the fold, as you can see right here. Okay, so before I get to the next one, make sure you cutting out view B. Now it says front B, and this other one says back B. Okay, so this is pattern piece number 5. You want to cut 2 out of your fabric, and don't forget your markers for your patch pockets at the bottom. Pattern piece number 9, the sleeve. This is view B, and then you want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. Pattern piece number 6, this is the pocket, view B, and you want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. And then last but not least, pattern piece number 8, view B. Again, this is the band. You want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. Just real quick, when it comes to the band, I've interfaced only half of it. So this half right here, I kept the same, but then I interfaced the side that you'll have the buttons and the buttonholes. Now I did that because it gives you a little bit more stability when it comes to this type of fabric. Now, this is optional. I just wanted you to have an option to interface on this portion. Now that we have our pattern pieces cut out of our fabric, we can begin order of construction. Okay, so first we're going to prep our pocket to go on our front piece. Now I went ahead and did a serge across the top because it's going to be our raw edge. Now, if your fabric is not thick, this is a sweater knit fabric, it's pretty thick. So if your fabric is thin, you can turn under a 1/4 inch without doing that serge, and then you can fold back where the fold line is and stitch 5/8 of an inch from the side. But since mine is pretty thick, I'm just going to secure that edge with a serge. Turn right sides facing on that fold line, and I'm going to go ahead and just pin this side and this side. Now we're going to head to the machine. We're just going to stitch 5/8 of an inch from the edge until we get to the edge of the fabric right here. Okay, so you want to do the other side the same exact way. Okay, so we're back from the machine. As you can see, I went ahead and stitched those sides down. So now I'm just going to cut some of this allowance, starting from this top corner here. Right, this is how I like to cut mine. So I just cut it at an angle until I get to the top of that top fabric. And then the bottom one I cut at an angle so I can tuck it under the fold. Okay. So now I'm just going to turn it right side out. Take my point turner, point out my corners. Okay. Now let's give this a really good press. We're going to press in 5/8 of an inch along this side here, and then also the other side. Press the top, and then we're going to turn up 5/8 of an inch on the bottom and press that too. Now give that a really good press all the way around. And once you do that, we're going to head to the machine and we're going to top stitch, catching the loose fold underneath. Okay, so moving right along, you want to go ahead and grab your front. So slide it up. You should have 2 markers when it comes to the placement of your pocket. So I went ahead and stitch across, stitching this down, and then I pressed around the sides and the bottom 5/8 of an inch. Now you want to take these corners and put it right there where those markers are. And then we're just going to pin along the sides and then across the bottom. Okay, so we're going to head to the machine, start on one end, stitch down across the bottom, and then up the other side. Okay, so moving right along, we have both our pockets on our fronts. So once you do one, you want to do the other one the same exact way. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and grab our back piece and right side facing. We're going to turn over and attach our front pieces to our shoulders. There should be a notch where you should pin first. Okay, so now head to the machine and stitch across your shoulders here using 5/8 seam allowance. Once you do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we have our cardigan attached at the shoulder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the side. You can see where we're going to put our sleeve at. Now grab one of your sleeves. On the front, you should have one notch. On the back, you should have a double notch right here. So make sure you match up the correct notches. Okay, so we're right side facing. We're gonna go ahead and pin. Okay, now let's head to the machine and we're going to stitch starting on one end, going all the way across to the other end using 5/8 seam allowance. Okay, so moving right along, as you can see, we have both of our sleeves attached. And then I also serged that seam and I pressed it towards the front and then the back. So now what you want to do is, right side facing, you want to turn it onto itself. I'm going to work on one side at a time. We're going to close out the side seam and then also the seam of our sleeve. Go ahead and pin. Okay, so we're going to start at the hem of the sleeve and then work our way all the way to the hem of the cardigan. Okay, so after you do one side, you want to do the other side the same exact way. Okay, so moving right along, as you can see, we have our under sleeve and then our side seam stitched up. So now we're going to move on to our bands. So you want to grab your bands, and like I said, I've interfaced one portion of it. So right side's facing like this. There should be a double notch right here. You can pin. Okay, so we're going to head to the machine and you want to stitch across here using 5/8 seam allowance. Do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so I'm back from the machine. I press that seam open and then you want to fold it in half, wrong sides touching where that fold line is. And then now we're just going to pin this to our cardigan. Now there should be double notches across the center front. At the ends of the bands, you want to turn them right sides facing and then you want to stitch across as well and turn it right side out. All right, so let's go ahead and right sides facing. Let's turn the ends of our band. We're going to stitch across using 5/8 seam allowance. Once you do that, come back and we'll continue. Okay, so when we're back, I'm going to go ahead and trim some of that corner out. Take your point turner when you turn it right side out. Okay, so now once you have it like this, now you'll be able to finish pinning, and that should stop right there where that marking is. And when you turn up for that 1 1/4 inch, you can just stitch all the way down on both sides. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna start on one side and stitch all the way through the center and then end up at the other hem using 5/8 seam allowance. Okay, so moving right along, I went ahead and serged that inside seam on the band. And then now just want to do is turn this right side out. And this is how it's going to look on the inside. And then nice and finished on the outside. So what I'm going to continue to do now is head to my pressing table. I'm going to press up the remaining 1 1/4 inches all the way along my hem. And then we're going to turn, we're going to top stitch just below that patch pocket there. Okay, all the way to the other side. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a good press. Come back and we'll continue. Okay, I went ahead and pressed it, as you can see, and I pinned it all the way along the hem. Now we're gonna head to the machine and we're just gonna start where that seam is, catching this side that we pressed up all the way around till we get to the other side. Okay, so now I want you to continue until you get to the other side of the hem. Okay, so once you come back from stitching the hem, you want to give it a good press, and also just finish pressing around the band, and then also too, you can stitch on the cardigan side close to that seam all the way around the neck and then down here. Those are little added details, and then also it's helpful to keep that seam allowance down once you press it. And then also you want to turn up 1 1/4 inches for your sleeve hem and stitch that down the same way we did the hem down here. And then last but not least, you want to create your buttonholes on the left side, and then you want to put your buttons on the right side here. And once you do all of that, you're all done. All right, congratulations, you're all done. Now, I hope you enjoyed this sew along, and remember to tag me on all socials so I can see your amazing makes at Norris Dancer Forward, and I will see you in the next sew along.